Great morning to you once again. Thank you for joining us. It's still Kakaki, the African Voice, and it's time to look at the national dailies and the front page stories with our reviewers who are already joining us in the studio. Two gentlemen clad in white, bringing peace to the studio, right?
The peace is very much needed. It's peaceful here in the studio, but we need it in Zamfara.
Yes, indeed. All right, there are two honorable gentlemen of the press, Dr. Yubosa Wajire and Mr. Simon Reef Musa, the Alhaji that we just crowned here. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being with you.
Right.
Good morning, Alhaji Simon. All right, let's take a look at what the papers have for us this morning very quickly. We'll begin with the Nigerian pilot, and it leads with the story 2027. Stop open campaigns. INEC warns APC, PDP, LP, ADC, other political parties against open election campaigns. Describes early campaigns for 2027 general elections as violation of Electoral Act. Also on the front page of that paper, you see the story COAS, that's the Chief of Army Staff, orders welfare reforms to prepare soldiers for life after service.
All right, let's see how this Nigeria is leading this morning. Also leading with a warning from INEC. It says 2027, INEC warns parties to halt early campaigns. And then just close to the bottom there, we have Lassa fever toll rises, 811 infected, 152 dead in 7 months. Virus spreads to 21 states, so 105 local governments as health authorities intensify containment efforts.
Okay, now let's go to the Blueprint newspaper. Early campaign, APC governors, Swagger, Obi unveil strategies amid INEC caution. The writers say Uzodimma Ododo, Oborewori inspect party data center, dismiss coalition. ADC state chairs urge electoral body to reject mark. Those are the writers on that. Let's also take a look at the lower part of the page. On clerics intervention, Bello Turji releases 32 captives. That is another headline there. 211 kidnappers, ritualists snapped in Edo, 3 tortoises recovered. That's the rider to that story.
And then we check the Daily Monitor next. One-term promise, it says, I'm not desperate for power. This is credited to Obi. Says one-term vow stems from deep desire to rebuild Nigeria, not personal ambition. All right, you have above that story, you have 2027, INEC cautions political parties against premature election campaigns. Says any open campaign or canvassing votes for 2027 poll inappropriate, a violation of Electoral Act.
Okay, Southern candidate, Jonathan or Obi? That is the question that is the lead on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning. And that story flows from page 1 onto pages 3 and 4 of the paper. Also on that front page, right beneath the masthead, you see Zamfara. Bandits abduct 150 persons in 4 days.
And the Leadership newspaper has this bold one. Oil workers want government refineries fixed before sale. Pengerson advocates NLNG model for privatization of Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna plans. Okay, we go down a little. Let's check this one. Reject Mark-led leadership. 2 ADC state chairmen tell INEC.
New National Star is where we're going next. Marginalization. FG begins revitalization of Kaduna textile industry to appease North. That story is on page 2, and the writers say Minister inspects moribund UNTL complex. Others. Factories collapse, worsened unemployment, insecurity in zone, says Emir Sanusi. Also on the front page of that paper, you have insecurity. Zamfara terror kingpin. Bello Turji surrenders arms, frees 32 captives. Story is on page 2 of the paper.
All right, let's check the Observer's Times. Human rights reform. Huriwa commends DSS DG, urges nationwide institutionalization across offices. And then we have Wike can't dictate PDP affairs from outside. That is coming from Mark Jacob.
Going to the Daily Independent now, we will look at the headline, Nigeria's rising external debt service raises red flags. Borrowing to service debt may become vicious circle. Experts, that is the writer to that story. Also on the front page of that paper, democratization process. CSOs, others seek active involvement of the electorate, decry office holders' prioritization of re-election over governance.
And the Standard Times headline, the big one, $1 trillion economy. Tinubu signs insurance reform bill into law. That's the big one there. And then democratization process is also making the paper. CSOs, others seek active involvement of the electorates, decry office holders' prioritization of re-election over governance.
NIRA 2025. Tinubu signs reform bill ending 20 years of deadlock in insurance sector. That is the lead story. And you find the details of that on page 2 of the Nigerian News Direct this morning. Also on the front page of that paper, a number of other headlines. First Lady donates 1 billion naira food items to Niger disaster victims. The details of that you'll find on page 21 of the paper.
Okay, let's see the business NG, the bold headline. Lagos, Abuja, two others secure $12.3 billion FDI in 2024. This is according to a report by the Bureau of Statistics, NBS. And then you have other stories here. Insurance industry gets shake up as Tinubu signs reform bill. New powers for NICOM on fraud, and only strong insurers to survive under new law. That's according to analysts.
Interesting. Let's go to the Whistler now. Africa's energy transition must be negotiated, not imposed by global powers. Ojulari advocates use of gas, hydrocarbon revenues to fund energy future. That's the top story there on the front page of the Whistler. Also on that, on the front page of that paper, you'll also see right above the masthead, Wike orders renewed clampdown on one chance robbers, others, as JTF impounds 670 vehicles, arrests 273 street beggars. You'll find details of that on page 8.
All right, the business AM. Nigerian exchange breaks 91 trillion naira mark as equities rally. You have right there, UPDC, Lasaco Assurance top gainers. Okay, other business stories. Telco cement stocks drive market capitalization on Nigerian bourse. MTN leads with 10.8 trillion naira. Okay, that's the last paper we are bringing up for review this morning. So let's get in our reviewers now.
Okay. Let me start with Simon Reef. Alaji Simon, according to Mkoli. This Nigeria and Blueprint capture the INEC story. 2027. Stop open campaigns. INEC wants parties to halt early campaigns. We've talked about this here on this program several times.
I think it is. It's not an enforceable law. It's not an enforceable order for you to ask party to stop campaigns ahead of 2027. Let me even tell you, people are planning to start their campaign for 2031. The politicians are out there to ensure that what they want is to ensure they put their programs across and explain why they are indispensable in the political process. So for INEC to come up to say that parties should stop, they know that this order cannot be enforced. Politicians, of course, will continue to ask for votes. They'll continue to tell you, hey, they'll continue to go behind the scenes.
Simon.
Is there an order?
Or is it
against the Electoral Act?
I see something else apart from these mundane things. What you are saying, is that the political class is lawless. That's what you just said now. Because
Yes, exactly.
if INEC cannot enforce a law, it is a law.
No.
That's what you are saying.
Yes, but Kule, let's be very frank. Do we obey laws in this country? Let's ask this question. Do we obey laws in this country? And we're talking about people who are simply interested in entrenching themselves in power. They know that some other people outside there are doing their own. So you can't stop them. So let's simply perish this thought of, oh, we are a law-obeying country. No. The political class, if they are law-obeying, they will have done that since. But they won't, because what they want is power. And for you to ask them to stop, you can't simply ask them to stop. Now, there are these campaign posters you find all over. They've made noise about it. What has happened? In this country, we simply make noise and nothing happens. There are no consequences. People violate the law. There are no consequences. So, what do you expect? So, nothing will happen. They will continue to do their campaigns, and nobody can stop them. Even INEC knows that they cannot stop. But they have to do that for the media, of course, to take it up. But beyond that, please, let's know that nothing will happen. They will continue their campaigns because what they want is power.
So if nothing would happen, then where does that leave us, really? Do you also agree that nothing would happen? Because listening to INEC chairman here, he says that campaigns for 2027 general election is a violation of the Electoral Act, and he insists that open campaigns are allowed only 150 days before polling day. So is INEC handicapped, dealing with this, like Simon said?
Well, I listened to Simon. To some extent, I want to align myself with his positions, depending on what your concept of public campaign or open campaign. Because the Constitution also guarantees the fact that people can meet and have conversations on issues, around issues and all that. And will you want to describe that as campaign? If PDP decided to meet in one hall and say, okay, we are negotiating, we are strategizing, will you now refer that one? Will you now refer to that as open campaign? Or if you have a big board of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with his achievement, at the background, will you describe that as an open campaign? Some people will tell you, oh, the man is celebrating his second years in the office. He's demonstrating what he's achieved in the last 2 years. But some people might also see it as a campaign strategy. So, like I said, it's difficult to enforce. It's difficult to define what is open campaign.
So maybe there's ambiguity in that aspect.
Exactly. Open campaign might mean that, oh, you will face a rally for at the Eagle Square today. You say PDP or APC is meeting there, to campaign, and nobody is doing.
And they'll tell you that they are not doing any rally.
Exactly. Nobody is doing that. Or they might say, okay, we want to celebrate the New Hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the last 2 years. All of them gather there, start telling you what they have done in the last 2 years. Will you regard that as open campaign? So, like I said, the ambiguities of what is the definitions of open campaign is what is fueling this issue. For example, if you go to some part of the Federal Capital Territory, you see Atiku Abubakar posters, you see Amichi's posters, you see Bola Ahmed Tinubu posters. Will you be able to hold a political party responsible for that posters? Then they will tell you
they might even distance themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They might tell you that we're not responsible. That there are some people who are all those political jobbers that are responsible. So, like I said, it's very difficult to enforce. If you also look at the statement by the spokesperson to the chairman of the INEC, he's just cautioning them, because even if you take them to court, even if you say we are going to sanction them, on what premise will you base your argument that they are opening? They would deny it. Normally, when there is invitation for open campaign, the INEC will announce it. A political party will face a zonal rally in Soso State, Soso zonal office at a particular date. They will tell you that they have not done that. So, like you said, it's difficult to enforce.
It's tough to enforce. Okay,
it's very difficult.
Let's move on to another issue now, the political one too, and I'm coming back to you, Alaji Simon. The Daily Trust leads with a very strong question.
Yeah.
Southern candidate, Jonathan Obi, the paper is right in front of you.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm happy that there seems to be this movement towards having to 2027 to be all Southern candidates. You know, we've said that the North has had it 8 years under Buhari, and it is just fair and for equity's sake to ensure that the South also have their own. Now, I think everything is now growing towards either Jonathan or Obi. For Jonathan, at least his wife has come out to tell us that she's not interested.
Yes, but people will also remind you that
Yes.
former President Jonathan was in Mina on Sunday
Yeah.
to see former military president Ibrahim Babangida,
Yes.
which has been speculated, although nobody knows what they discussed, but
Yeah.
the speculation is it must have some political undertone.
And you may not have interest, but people will tell you that we want you. So what do you do?
Yeah. So I think we cannot just dismiss Jonathan because we cannot even take into cognizance what the wife has said. But I know there has been
Why
growing
not?
pressure. No, there's been growing pressure.
The wife must know the mind of the husband.
The wife must know, but you see, if he had followed the mind of the wife, he wouldn't have done what he did in 2015. Let's be very, very frank. Because if he had followed what the wife did, I mean, he would have said no. He would have got stuck and then said, no, I won't allow this nonsense to happen. But he allowed it and went. But let's come down to Jonathan Obi. I'm happy that there is this, seems to be this consensus among the political elite that, oh, the Southern candidate must be either Jonathan or Obi. But we also take into cognizance that Jonathan is not somebody that is so crazy for power. He's not somebody that you need to push him a lot and a lot and a lot. And I think his body language has really not shown that he's interested. But I know there are a massive pressure on him to declare for 2027. And for somebody that I know very well, he's somebody that it will take him a very long time. And when it comes, will it be late? So, but for now, I know that his mind is not just there. But for Obi, yes, he's a candidate. He is very, very sure that he wants to contest for 2027. He wants power.
He still has to get the ticket of a party.
He has to get the party. And like the ADC said, you know, he has left the ADC. He's between PDP because the PDP people have, I mean, they have reached out to him. Come and use our platform and contest.
Okay.
All right. So, some people have actually argued that even both candidates that we're talking about here are people that are not interested in grabbing power. And in a country where power is grabbed, you know, and you can hold it and run with it, that would they be able to match, you know, other political party candidates who are strong and ready to go?
Now, if you look, let's use daily trust as a point of this in discussing these issues. I like the framing. I think what daily trust is trying to do this morning is trying to set an agenda, where I think there's growing view, especially in the northern part of the country, and that popular view, if you like, or maybe a subjective view by some political elite, that Tinubu's second term would be injurious to the northern interests. I think there's that popular view, or some view among the northern political elite, and that's why Atiku is being forced to go into the race. But I think they are realizing now that Atiku will be very hard to sell, and not just in the northern part of the country, but in the entire country as a whole, because the mood of the nation today, I still believe that we should allow this certain candidate, you know, to finish their 8 years in the office. Because we've had Buhari serving 8 years. Now if that is the consensus among the political elite, then who is the person that is best, you know, suited for that position? Jonathan or Obi? Obi, give it to him, is a very popular person. If you ask 10 people on the street, I'm sure 8% will tell you that they will vote for Peter Obi. That is there's a swelling popularities around his ambitions. But of course, in order to, you know, give the impression that he's ready, Obi is telling people that he will only serve one term, so that the power can go back to the north. But most people don't believe him, and that it will be very difficult to get him to obey that agreement. And the only person they believe that they could use, I'm using not because they like Jonathan, because it's the same people.
He can't go beyond one.
It's the same people that forced Jonathan out of power in 2015. But the reason why they want to use Jonathan is because they believe that by virtue of the constitution, Jonathan can only serve only 4 years, and after that 4 years, power go back to the north again. Like I said, it is not because they like
So
Jonathan.
they just see him as a safe bet.
Yes, they just use it. This is a person who can easily use for 4 years so that he will go. They will have another person from the north because they don't believe that Tinubu should go for second term or he can serve the interest of the north after this term in the next 4 years, and that is why they are pushing for Jonathan. Now, if you look at what Jonathan was in Mina, like you said, during the week. And from Daily Trust report, we were told that Babangida asked him whether he was interested in 2027, and Jonathan told him that he has not made up his mind. And his spokesperson, Ikechukwu, said Jonathan can only show interest if he's convinced, if he's assured by those who are pushing him that they will give him a massive support. So there's a whole lot of intrigues going on. But like I said, Jonathan, he has been there before. He has served about 6 years in the office. He knows the game very well. And if he's not sure that he will get almost 99% support of those who are pushing him, Jonathan will not
step his foot out there.
Yes, will not
All
so
right,
at the end of the
gentlemen.
day, it will now between, they might just be, among Atiku, Peter Obi, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the same figures who contested power in the last general elections.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Simon, let's go to the oil industry now. Oil workers want government refineries fixed before sale. Pengasson advocates NLNG model for privatization of Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna plants. Leadership newspaper has that on its front page this morning.
Yes, I don't think the oil workers have job because they've not been able to produce a liter of fuel in the last 6, 7, or 10 years. Even the rationale for even having them be in the employment of NNPC is disputable because you've privatized NNPC. So why do you keep workers that are not working? Now these same people are coming to tell us that they should go and maintain the and repair the refineries. Well, it is very, very clear that they've spent over $15 billion in the last 10 years or so to do a turnaround maintenance, and nothing happened. The former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, said it's impossible to repair those refineries. So it is very, very clear. Why do we continue to spend so much on refineries that won't work? These refineries are outdated. So why do we need to spend so much billions again on them? Where is the same people that are there frustrating the system? To me, NNP is not like a cash cow. Every government that comes, okay, let's try, get some money from there. And that is the end of it. The next government comes, it's the same story. So I don't support the view by NNPC workers that government should repair the refineries. We've had sources in the past, in the present, that have said that these refineries cannot be repaired. And these workers have been paid. They are paid so much money and they are not working. So if indeed the NNPC is privatized, they should look at what model do they use to ensure that they treat NNPC as a private company. But for now, they'll tell you this morning is a privatized company, and the next morning they are after the welfare of their workers. So to me, it is just a boom company. We don't need that. They should simply take it away.
I'm actually trying to rack my brain. Which of the refineries are we talking about? Is it the one that we were told that we celebrated even here,
Yes,
that was already working, the Port Harcourt refinery? Is it part of the ones they're talking about they should fix? So it has not been fixed. Is that what it means?
If you look at what has happened in the last 10 years, or even right from the beginning, NNPC has become an embodiment. It represents corruption. It is an institution where all the hawks fees. That's where they make their money. People who don't have jobs, who are in politics, and they believe that the only source of their income is NNPC. Every government, if you're not directly involved, those you appointed, would destroy the place. At the point, NNPC was a source of funding political parties elections for some political elite. And I'm sure that was why when this present government came, he removed the former management of the NNPC and appointed this current management. But look at what we're hearing in the last few days. We were told that over the weekend they wanted to force him to resign because of some dirty digs around the management of resources within the NNPC. So for me, It's crazy. And like I said, the last management, for example, deceived the entire country. And they told us that they have carried out the maintenance, and NPC is now producing fuel after spending almost about 5 trillion naira to turn around the two refineries. We were deceived that it was working, but it turned out not to be true. It means that those people who were involved haven't used that money. Almost 80% of that money went into their pocket. They wanted to justify the so-called turnaround maintenance of the NNPC, and that is why they deceived us to say that it's working, and took everybody there, and they were celebrating.
But
of
people
course,
went there, including reporters.
I agree. Like I said, we were deceived, including the president, the then president Muhammad Buhari. He was deceived. So that's exactly what happened. But I'm happy. Some group of people are now taking it upon themselves that, look, those who manage that turnaround maintenance, where we spend almost about 5 trillion naira, need to account for that kind of dirty business. I'm happy. Like one of the people reported this morning, there's one Okere Kidom who went to court, suing the former, the financial controller or the vice chairman in charge of finance, and the NNPC sued them that they should account for that humongous amount of money they spend in executing that contract. So Okere, for example, view move is very popular among civil society group, among Nigerians, that having spent that kind of amount of money in so-called turnaround maintenance, and we are not seeing the result. Those people who are involved in that kind of dirty and dubious business must be forced to account for it. And the EFCC, another anti-financial crime agencies, have a huge responsibility to ensure that those who utilize such amount of money for the dubious turnaround maintenance that could not achieve anything should be meant to account for that money. I'm sure in the next few days, going by what we have seen, they will be in court. So they will have their days in court, explain to Nigerians how they spent that money, who got that money, and the source of that money. And as a matter of fact, with the kind of network the EFCC has, and ICPC and other financial agencies, they have the capacity to find out where that kind of amount of money went into.
Okay, let's quickly go on to another issue. Now that I needed to just be very quick with this. Insecurity. Zamfara terror kingpin. Bello Turji surrenders arms, frees 32 captives. Two papers have that we've looked at, the Observer's Times and the New National Star. Simon?
Well, to me, that is cheering news. It also shows that there is need for collaboration. Religious bodies should come. Government should also be involved. Because by what we saw, the man released those captives on the intervention of clerics. So, in getting the peace that we all need, we should not simply, we should all, embrace all options. We should simply sit down and say, oh, it must be military. It is kinetic or non-kinetic. No. If the man is respecting the clerics to do what they want him to do, let's follow that line. I think it is very commendable.
When I was going through that report, I saw that the cleric said he was able to surrender some of the arms and then released about 32 people who were abducted for over 4 months, we gathered. And then most of them even had to put to bed, in that forest, in his enclave, and all that. So, but people are asking really, so what is difficult in even getting somebody who has been terrorizing, a community, isolated communities like that for a very long time, not allowing them to go to farmlands and all that? Is it such a difficult thing to get hold of him? Do we have to throw this part? Is it the best option?
Colleague, I'm worried just like you are, because if you look at all countries around the world who are having issue with terrorism, and they have a strategic statement. They have a mission on how to deal with terrorists, counter-terrorism strategies and all that. For example, if you look at the U.S. mission, they will tell you that we don't negotiate with terrorists. Anywhere they are found in the entire world, they will go after them, whether in their country or other part of the world. They go after them. They don't negotiate with terrorists. Some countries also have similar strategies or mission. But in Nigeria, I'm not very clear about our mission. I'm not very clear about our strategies. Because this 2G we are talking about, I saw him when somewhere in northern part of the country where he was invited, and he came with his armed team. The military were there, other security agencies were there, where they were holding meeting with him, not inside the forest, not inside the bush, in a state capital where he was invited to have a meeting with security agents, the military and other. And he came with his armed. Look at that audacity. He came with his armed men and was having meeting with Nigerian security agencies, the military and all that. And this is somebody that has been known to have killed thousands of innocent people. Now, if you are a victim, or if you are a victim of his criminal act, I mean, how will you feel when you see that kind of person negotiating with the government, security agencies, after he has killed thousands of people, of innocent people? For me, I don't get to understand our own strategies of dealing with terrorists. Yes, people might be interested. Okay, it's holding about 30-something people. What do we do in order to get them released? But I think we should find a way to deal with this matter once and for all. Negotiating with the terrorists, trying to rehabilitate somebody that is known to have killed thousands of innocent people across the country, and you are still negotiating with them, and you say, okay, let's rehabilitate him. Surrender some of your arms, then we'll take it from there. Unlike what happened in the Niger Delta. Niger Delta were not actually going after innocent people. They were going after oil installations. And they got to a point, Yar'Adua said, the late Yar'Adua may so rest, he said, we cannot continue like that. And that's why he negotiated with them, and they were granted MSCs. And that's why we have a relative peace in the Niger Delta today.
Right.
But in another part of the country, we're talking about terrorism. We're talking about banditry. We're talking about people who have killed thousands of innocent people. And we are negotiating with them, and we are talking to them, and we are rehabilitating them.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't understand.
Yobosa, we got to go now. Thank you so much, Yobosa. Thank you, Simon. Dr. Yobosa Wugaren and Simon Reef Musa have joined us this morning to review the front pages, the headlines on the front pages of the newspapers, the ones that we have reviewed. Thank you once again, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And keep the peace that you brought to the studio. All right, so we will be seeking that peace further. But flowing from the discussion, the last part of the discussion here on the paper review, we will be talking about mass abduction